Welcome to Dreams of Science. Tonight, I want you to do something simple. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, and imagine yourself floating. Not in a room, not in the air, but in space. No floor, no ceiling, no direction, but infinity. Here, the stars are scattered like ancient sparks. Planets drift quietly in their orbits. Everything seems still, and yet everything is moving. You might think it's silent out here, that the void between worlds has no sound. But silence, my friend, is just the surface of something deeper. If you listen, really listen, you'll feel it. A rhythm, a pulse beneath the dark. That is the music of the planets. It begins, as all music does, with silence. Before any note is born, there's a stillness, a moment where potential waits. The universe, too, began like this. 13.8 billion years ago, there was no sound, no space, no time, and then a single vibration. Not a bang, a breath, a wave that rippled outward, carrying everything that would ever be: stars, atoms, oceans, dreams. From that first trembling of energy, the cosmos began to sing. The ancients knew it somehow. They looked at the night sky and didn't just see points of light. They saw movement, rhythm, balance. The Greeks called it musica universalis, the music of the spheres. They believed every planet, every moon, every star moved according to a divine harmony, a pattern so perfect it must be music. Not the kind you could hear with your ears, but with your soul. To them, the universe was not a machine, it was a symphony. And maybe they were right, because everything in existence vibrates. Every atom, every electron, every particle in your body is dancing, vibrating, singing in its own tiny frequency. When we measure the orbits of the planets, we find patterns, ratios, the same mathematical intervals that define the notes in music. Mercury's swift orbit hums a high, bright tone. Jupiter, slow and massive, resonates like a deep drum. Saturn, with its rings, whispers a shimmering chord. You can't hear them, but you can feel them. Their gravitational pull tugs on you right now, ever so gently, as if the entire solar system is holding a single endless note. Imagine the sun as a great conductor. Its gravity keeps time. Its magnetic fields ripple outward like invisible sound waves. Each planet is a player in this celestial orchestra. Each one keeps to its rhythm, never missing a beat. Venus glides with a graceful tempo. Mars taps in syncopation. Neptune hums from the edge, so slow it feels like a heartbeat stretched across centuries. The music is patient. It doesn't rush. It unfolds in measures that last millennia. But how can there be music if there's no air for sound to travel? Ah, that's the wonder of it. Out here, sound as we know it cannot exist. No air means no vibration for our ears to catch. And yet, space is alive with frequencies. Electromagnetic waves, plasma oscillations, gravitational ripples. The language of the cosmos is vibration itself. When we translate those frequencies into audible tones, we hear something extraordinary. The deep, ghostly hum of Jupiter's magnetosphere. The shimmering static of Saturn's rings. The strange, wheel-like calls of the sun's solar wind. These are not inventions of human imagination. They are recordings, real sounds captured by spacecraft, translated from invisible data into music. The universe hums. We just learned how to listen. And that changes everything. Because once you hear it, you realize that you are part of it. Your heartbeat, your breath, your brainwaves, they all vibrate within the same physical laws as planetary motion. You are not separate from the cosmic music. You are one of its notes. Somewhere in the deep mathematics of nature, you and Neptune and the rings of Saturn are playing the same song, just in different octaves. Think about the next time you look up at the night sky. Those pinpricks of light aren't silent, they are performing, each one keeping its spot in the eternal score. Maybe if you could float far enough from Earth, you'd hear the harmony of planets turning. The way Jupiter's storms rumble in bass tones, while Earth's magnetic field hums like a cello. Maybe galaxies themselves are orchestras, clusters of suns resonating together in cosmic harmony. And maybe, just maybe, the entire universe is one great song still being written. So tonight, as you drift towards sleep, remember this. Silence is never truly silent. It's the pause before the next note of creation. Every orbit, every atom, every breath you take is part of the same rhythm that began when time began. The music of the planets is not something out there. It's inside you. It's in the way your blood moves, the way your lungs rise and fall, the way your thoughts ripple in your mind. You're not just listening to the universe, you are the universe, listening to itself. In the next chapter, we'll meet the first instruments of this cosmic orchestra, the planets themselves, and we'll discover how their dance gives rise to the oldest song in existence. Until then, breathe with the stars. You're already part of their music. Chapter 2: The First Instruments. The silence has found its rhythm now. The universe, once still, begins to move. And as it moves, it sings. Every orchestra needs instruments. Ours just happen to be worlds. Imagine this: the sun at the center, glowing like a colossal heart. Its gravity pulling every planet into orbit. Its light keeping time across billions of kilometers. Each planet, each moon, is a note in this celestial arrangement. Not random, not chaotic, but tuned, balanced, precise. It's easy to forget that motion itself creates rhythm. The planets are dancing, each one at a speed and distance that defines its tone. Like strings of different lengths, they hum with different pitches. The closer a planet is to the sun, the faster it moves, like a high note vibrating quickly on a violin. The farther away, the slower the orbit, a deep resonant note, like the bass of a drum echoing across eternity. It's all numbers, yes, but hidden in those numbers is poetry. Let's look at Mercury. Tiny, swift, burning close to the sun. It circles the star in just 88 days. If the solar system were a melody, Mercury would be its bright, quick trill. Venus follows, slower, graceful, its orbit nearly circular, its rotation backward, as if it plays its part in reverse. It hums a steady, hypnotic rhythm, a counterpoint to the rushing Mercury. Then comes Earth, our home, our middle note, balanced, temperate, stable. Our year, our seasons, our heartbeat, they all belong to the same cosmic measure. Mars adds a softer, wandering tone. Jupiter, Jupiter, that giant is the orchestra's drum. Its gravity deep and thunderous. Its magnetic field, a bass line that shakes the void. Saturn rings like a harp, its icy loops scattering sunlight like chimes. Uranus drifts sideways, its spin tilted like a bow drawn at a strange angle, playing an alien harmony. And Neptune? Neptune is the final note, the faraway hum at the edge of the solar sky. Its orbit is so vast, its tone so low, That one cycle takes 165 Earth years to complete. When you look at it this way, the solar system is not just a collection of rocks and gas. It's a living composition, a cosmic fugue where motion becomes melody. And here's the part that makes the soul tremble. The ratios between planetary orbits are not random, they form harmonies. This was first noticed by Johannes Kepler, a man who refused to believe that mathematics could be cold. He thought the universe must be singing, and he spent years listening, not with his ears, but with his equations. He discovered that some planets' orbits line up in what we call now resonance. That means their paths repeat in patterns. Simple, beautiful fractions of one another. For instance, Jupiter's three largest moons, Io, Europa, and Ganymede, orbit in a precise 1:2:4 rhythm. For every orbit Ganymede completes, Europa makes 2, and Io makes 4. It's a perfect chord, a celestial harmony frozen in time. And these harmonies aren't accidents. They happen because gravity is not just a force, it's a conversation. Each planet and moon speaks to its neighbor through the pull of its mass. They push, they tug, they fall into step together, not colliding but aligning until their orbits form a rhythm that endures for billions of years. It's as though the universe found the only notes that could exist side by side without discord. Now imagine standing on Io, one of Jupiter's volcanic moons. You'd see Jupiter rising so close and vast, it fills half the sky, a swirling storm of color and light. You'd feel the moon tremble beneath your feet, pulled by Jupiter's gravity, stretched and flexed until the very rock heats and glows. That's why Io is alive with volcanoes. Its surface constantly reshaped by this eternal tug of music. That's not chaos, that's resonance. That's the power of a perfect gravitational chord. And if you could somehow hear it, not with your ears, but with your imagination, you'd notice something almost divine. Every planet has its tempo, every moon its beat. From the pulse of radiation around Jupiter to the shimmering plasma waves near Saturn, the universe is filled with vibrations. Astronomers have converted many of these into sound. When you hear deep hums, electric whirs, soft static that rises and falls like a heartbeat. They sound alien, yes, but also strangely familiar. Because deep down, they sound like us, like breath, like pulse, like life. Think about this. If you speed up the orbits of the planets and translate them into musical octaves, you can actually hear their relationships. Mercury's fast orbit becomes a sharp high note, Jupiter's slow one, a deep bass. Together, they form chords that are mathematically harmonious. We are literally surrounded by invisible music, melodies shaped by mass and motion, by the invisible tension between light and dark, by gravity's endless desire for balance. And so, when you look at the night sky, you're not just seeing a pattern of stars. You're witnessing a concert that has been playing for 4.5 billion years. No composer, no conductor, just the laws of nature writing their own perfect score. And yet, somehow, it feels personal, as if it were meant to be heard, meant to be felt. Maybe that's why humans make music at all. Maybe every song ever written, from the first drum beats of ancient tribes to the symphonies of Beethoven, is an echo of that original harmony, the one that began with the planets themselves. In the next chapter, we'll drift deeper into this soundless symphony. We'll explore how space, though empty, is never truly silent, and how, in its quiet vibrations, we've begun to hear the voice of the universe itself. Chapter 3: The Soundless Symphony. Out here, there is no wind, no rustle of leaves, no whisper of breath, only the soft vibration of existence itself. Space, they say, is silent. And in a way, it is. There is no air to carry the tremor of a voice, no atmosphere to let sound be born and travel. If you screamed near Saturn, no one would hear you. Not because they weren't listening, but because your scream would have nowhere to go. But silence is not absence, it's another kind of presence, one that hides everything it holds. The universe doesn't speak in air, it speaks in fields, in plasma, in light, in gravity, in the invisible trembling of matter itself. NASA calls them space sounds, but they aren't really sounds, not until we give them a voice. When spacecraft drifted past the planets, Voyager, Cassini, Juno, their instruments recorded electromagnetic vibrations, tiny changes in magnetic fields, fluctuations in charged particles, waves moving through the solar wind. And when those frequencies are translated into the range of human hearing, what emerges is haunting, otherworldly, beautiful beyond reason. You can listen to Jupiter's auroras. They sound like the groaning of a giant ocean, rolling across a cosmic shore. You can hear the radiation belts of Earth, crackling and chirping like distant birds trapped in static. Saturn's rings whisper in high glossy tones, a faint shimmer like starlight turned into sound. And the sun? The sun hums, a deep, endless drone, like the sound of creation itself, breathing in and out. When these sounds first reached Earth, scientists sat in awe. They had expected data, numbers, graphs, but what came back was music. Not random noise, patterns, rising, falling, structured in ways eerily reminiscent of melody. Some said it was coincidence, others said it was proof of nature's rhythm, that even chaos has a beat. But anyone who's heard those recordings knows it feels like something more. The universe may not have ears, but it has harmony. And the funny thing is, our bodies respond to it. When people listen to these space sounds, their brain waves shift, their heart rates slow, their minds synchronize subtly with frequencies, as if some part of us remembers, as if we recognize the sound of home. After all, the atoms in our bones once belonged to stars. Maybe they still remember the vibrations that shaped them in the beginning. Maybe when you listen to the hum of Saturn or the wind of Jupiter, you're hearing echoes of your origin story. But why does space have these voices at all? The secret lies in plasma, the fourth state of matter. Most of the universe isn't solid, liquid, or gas. It's plasma, a sea of charged particles, free-flowing ions and electrons that carry electricity and respond to magnetic fields. When magnetic fields ripple through plasma, they create waves, compressions, oscillations, the same physics that makes a string vibrate. Except here, the strings are made of charged gas, and the stage is the solar system. These plasma waves can stretch for millions of kilometers, rolling through the void like invisible tides. They are quite literally the sound of space. Listen closer, and you'll hear how even emptiness is alive. In the thin air around Earth, radio emissions crackle with the chatter of electrons. In the void between planets, solar winds crash and swirl, producing deep frequency waves. When Voyager 1 crossed the boundary between our solar system and interstellar space, it recorded a faint, eerie tone, a long, quivering note that lasted for days. That was the sound of crossing a frontier no human ear had ever known, the edge of the sun's breath, where our star's influence fades and the galactic ocean begins. It was like listening to the boundary between home and forever. If you were floating there, in that dark between stars, you wouldn't hear it, not as sound, but your instruments, your bones, your very molecules would still be vibrating in sympathy. Every atom hums, every electron dances, every point in space is alive with invisible motion. What we call silence is simply a song our ears can't catch. Think of it this way: when you stand in a forest and feel the wind move through you, you're feeling the earth breathe. When you stand beneath the stars, you are feeling the universe breathe. Those breaths are frequencies, slow, fast, older than time itself. If we could expand our senses, if we could stretch our hearing to frequencies a trillion times lower, would realize that space is never still. It's a concert that never ends. Galaxies collide in bass tones so deep they vibrate across millions of light years. Stars pulse in mid-range hums. Planets spin in soft rhythmic beats. And quasars scream at frequencies beyond imagination. In the next chapter, we'll drift through time itself to meet the first humans who tried to hear this hidden harmony, the philosophers and dreamers who believed that the cosmos was not just made of matter, but of music. Chapter 4: The Ancient Composers. Before radio antennas could hear the songs of Jupiter, before spacecraft tuned into the whispers of plasma, there were those who listened differently. They didn't have telescopes, they didn't have data. They had silence, geometry, and wonder. And in that wonder, they heard music. 2,500 years ago, in a small Greek colony called Croton, a philosopher named Pythagoras sat before a string. He plucked it, and the air quivered. He shorted the string, and the pitch rose. He halved it, and the pitch doubled. He realized something extraordinary. Music wasn't chaos, it was mathematics. Harmony was hidden order made audible. To Pythagoras, that was revelation. If the vibrations of a string could produce beauty, then perhaps the vibrations of the universe itself were doing the same. He looked up at the sky, at the moving points of light that wandered differently from the stars, the planets. He believed that each of them, as they moved through the heavens, produced a tone. Together, those tones formed a perfect harmony, the musica universalis, the music of the spheres. Not a song you could hear, but one you could feel. To him, the cosmos was not a place, it was a lyre, and the divine hand that plucked it was creation itself. Of course, no one had proof, but proof wasn't the point. The point was meaning. For the ancient Greeks, music wasn't entertainment, it was the structure of existence. The same ratios that made a chord sound pleasant were the same ratios that built the stars. 1/3, 2/3, 1/2. The mathematics of harmony were the mathematics of heaven. They believed that if you could truly understand music, you could understand the mind of God. Time moved on, empires rose, knowledge scattered, but the dream survived. In the 17th century, a man named Johannes Kepler revived it in a new form. Kepler lived in an age where science was beginning to peel back the heavens and replace myth with measurement. But for Kepler, the numbers didn't kill the wonder, they deepened it. He believed the planets truly made music, not with sound, but with motion. He studied their orbits obsessively, searching for a hidden harmony. And one night, as if guided by that ancient echo from Pythagoras, he found it. Kepler discovered that the planets move in ellipses, not circles, that their speeds change as they orbit the sun. When he translated these motions into ratios, he noticed patterns, harmonic relationships between orbital velocities of planets. Earth and Venus, for instance, formed nearly a perfect fifth. The same musical interval found in most songs. Kepler called it the harmony of the worlds. To him, the solar system was not mechanical, it was symphonic. He even composed what he imagined the planetary choir would sound like. Each world, he said, sang a particular note depending on its speed. Mercury's song darted quickly across octaves. Earth sang in mid-range, steady and warm. Mars droned low and slow, a warrior's chant in deep tones. Jupiter and Saturn, the two giants, sounded the bass line of the cosmos. When Kepler finished his Harmonicae Mundi in 1619, he wrote, "The heavenly motions are nothing but a continuous song, for several voices perceived not by the ear, but by the intellect, and music which through the passage of time can never be resolved into consonance." He believed that God was the composer, and the planets were the notes. We, the listeners, were slowly learning to read the score. For Kepler, science and faith were never enemies. He didn't see equations as cold. He saw them as sacred. Each orbit was an act of praise, each ratio a reflection of divine balance. In his eyes, mathematics was poetry that the universe wrote for itself. And even though we now understand orbits through gravity, his vision still stirs something ancient in us. That sense, that meaning and beauty are not separate from truth. When you think about it, he was right in more ways than he knew. Every planet does produce vibration, not in sound, but in gravity. Their motions ripple space-time. Their magnetospheres hum. Their frequencies interact in measurable ways. Modern science confirmed what the ancients only dreamed. The universe truly is musical, just not in the way we once imagined. Pythagoras had divine geometry. Kepler had celestial choirs. And we record the electromagnetic hums of Saturn and Jupiter. Same truth, different languages. What both of them understood and what we often forget is that listening is an act of reverence. When Pythagoras plucked the first string, he wasn't seeking entertainment. He was listening for order, for harmony, for home. And when Kepler mapped the skies, he wasn't trying to conquer knowledge. He was trying to belong to it, to find his note in this infinite song. In the next chapter, we'll return to the present, to the engineers, musicians, and dreamers who turned the cold data of the cosmos into sound we can finally hear. Chapter 5: The Human Ear to the Cosmos. The ancients looked up and dreamed of harmony. Now, for the first time, we can actually hear it. We built machines to listen for us, delicate ears of metal and code, floating through the dark, each one an extension of our curiosity, each one whispering back what the universe has always been saying. It began with a question. If the universe makes music, could we record it? The answer came slowly through decades of invention and through a kind of stubborn faith that sound could exist in silence. When NASA's spacecraft began exploring the outer planets, they carried instruments that could detect electromagnetic waves and charged particles. What they found was astonishing. Space was alive with frequency. Those recordings, translated into the range of human hearing, became humanity's first true cosmic playlist. The voices of Jupiter, the chorus of Saturn's rings, the heartbeat of our own sun. The universe was no longer just light and motion, it was sound. And then, in 1977, we decided to sing back. That year, two spacecraft, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, were launched from Earth. Their mission was to explore the outer solar system, to visit the gas giants, and then perhaps to drift into the stars. But strapped to their sides was something different, something fragile, something profoundly human, a message, a record, a golden record. Imagine it, a 12-inch disc of gold-plated copper, etched with the story of our entire species. Music, laughter, greetings in 55 languages. The sound of thunder, of waves, of birds, a baby's cry, a mother's kiss, the heartbeat of a human being. All of it sent sailing into eternity, just in case someone, somewhere, someday might hear it. It was our first true duet with the cosmos. The Golden Record was curated by a small group of dreamers led by astronomer Carl Sagan. They knew the odds, the chance of another civilization ever finding it was infinitesimally small, but that wasn't the point. The point was to declare that we existed, that we had learned to listen, and now we wanted to be heard. Sagan wrote, "The spacecraft will be encountered and the record played only if there are advanced spacefaring civilizations in interstellar space. But the launching of this bottle into the cosmic ocean says something very hopeful about life on this planet." Hope. That's what it was. A song of hope wrapped in science, carried by machines, across a sea of silence. When Voyager 1 finally slipped into interstellar space, it turned one last time to look back. What it saw became one of the most famous photographs in history. A tiny point of light, suspended in a sunbeam. The pale blue dot. That was Earth. That was us. Every life, every dream, every note ever played, compressed into a single pixel. And somewhere on that dot, someone was still listening to the music of the planets, still wondering if anyone was listening back. Think about this. Those spacecraft are still moving right now as you listen. They are drifting farther than any human-made object in history, each carrying a small, spinning disk of gold with the sounds of life. The heartbeat of our world echoes through interstellar darkness. If they are ever found, and if someone or something plays that record, they will hear us say, "We tried to understand beauty. We made music. We loved." And even if no one ever finds them, maybe it doesn't matter. Because that gesture, that moment when we took the sounds of Earth and released them into the stars, wasn't just science. It was poetry. It was faith disguised as engineering. It was humanity trying to find harmony with the universe that made it. And now, our instruments have grown more powerful. We no longer just record waves, we translate them. Astronomers use data sonification to turn complex graphs and measurements into music. Black holes, nebulae, star clusters. Their data is mapped into pitch and tone. So we can not only see the cosmos, but hear it. When they translated images of the pillars of creation into sound, the result was haunting. Rising tones for the stars, deep rumbles for the dust clouds, and a shimmering melody for the newborn suns. It sounded like a lullaby being sung across light years. We've come full circle from the ancient lyres of Greece to digital symphonies of galaxies. We no longer imagine the music of the planets. We can play it. And in doing so, we've learned something sacred. Science can measure frequencies, but only the heart can feel harmony. And maybe that's why we make art and music and stories like this one. Because deep down, we remember that we are notes in a cosmic composition too vast to hear all at once. Chapter 6: The Pulse of Life. You are breathing right now, in and out. A rhythm so simple it feels ordinary. But every inhale, every pulse beneath your skin is the echo of a much older song. The music of the planets isn't only out there, it's in you. Everything that exists vibrates. Atoms, cells, thoughts, emotions, all of them move in patterns. Frequency, resonance, harmony. You are a constellation of vibration. Your heartbeat is not random. It follows a rhythm tuned by evolution, by electricity, by chemistry, but also by memory. A memory written in matter itself. Because every element in your body, the calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the oxygen in your lungs, was forged in stars that pulsed and sang billions of years before you took your first breath. Those vibrations never stopped. They just changed instruments from a star's core to your heart, from the oscillations of plasma to the rhythm of breath and thought. You, my friend, are the universe continuing its song in a smaller, softer key. Scientists call it resonance. When one thing vibrates, it can cause another to vibrate at the same frequency. A guitar string hums, and another string nearby begins to sing along. That's resonance, energy shared through rhythm. The same thing happens on cosmic scales. Planets influence each other through gravity, stars through magnetism, galaxies through tides of dark matter. One motion begets another. The universe is a web of resonance, a music of mutual influence. And that's exactly what happens in you. Your brainwaves, your heartbeat, your breath, they are all in conversation, like instruments tuning to each other. When they align, you feel calm, centered, at peace. When they fall out of sync, you feel chaos, anxiety, noise. Balance is harmony, health is rhythm. The same mathematical ratios that define musical intervals, like the octave, the fifth, the third, also appear in biology. Your DNA vibrates at measurable frequencies. Your heart rate variability forms patterns that resemble waveforms in music. Even the firing of neurons in your brain follows rhythmic pulses that can be mapped like the beats of a song. Alpha, beta, theta, delta. Your consciousness dances between them. It shifts in tempo and tone. When you dream, your brain hums slower. When you think, it speeds up. It's as if thought itself is music made of light. And so, the same harmony that governs the planets governs you. You're not separate from the cosmos. You are one of its instruments. When you feel your pulse, you're feeling gravity translated into life. When you breathe, you're inhaling the rhythm of Earth's orbit, exhaling the same air that once brushed through the rings of Saturn. Even emotion is resonance. Joy and sorrow are not opposites. They are frequencies of the same vibration, shifting through the chords of your life. When someone smiles at you, your mirror neurons fire. Their rhythm enters yours. That's resonance too. That's empathy as physics. When you listen to music, real human music, your heart synchronizes to it. Your breath follows the tempo. Your brain releases chemicals that make you feel connection. Why? Because music reminds your body of what it already knows. That harmony is survival. That unity is beauty. That resonance is home. Even ecosystems have rhythm. The earth breathes in cycles, tides, seasons, migrations. Every heartbeat on the planet is keeping time to the rotation of a world around its star. When forests sway in the wind, they move in fractal frequencies that scientists have found follow the same patterns as brain waves and planetary orbits. The same laws that govern Jupiter's magnetic storms govern the firing of a neuron in your mind. As above, so below. The music of the planets isn't distant, it's intimate. It's the pulse of your veins, the breath in your chest, the rhythm of thought itself. And here's the most beautiful part. When you quiet your mind, when you sit still long enough to listen, you can feel it. The gentle hum behind everything, the pulse beneath science. Call it presence, call it God, call it physics. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you are a part of it. And that somewhere out in the darkness, those same frequencies are moving through the rings of Saturn, through the winds of Neptune, through the gravity wells of stars that will never know your name, but still vibrate in harmony with you. You are the verse in an unfinished song, and your existence, your simple act of being, adds a note no one else could. Chapter 7: The Final Movement. We've drifted through the silence, through the harmonies of planets, through the voices of ancient dreamers and modern machines. We've listened to Saturn's whispers, Jupiter's hum, the song of our own heartbeat. Now, as we float here on the edge of understanding, the universe itself feels like an orchestra, still tuning for eternity. It's strange, isn't it, to think that something so vast, so incomprehensible, might still be playing. Galaxies colliding are percussion, stars being born are crescendos, black holes merging at the deep rolling bass, and the light of distant nebula, that's the soft violin, that shimmering breath between movements. Everywhere, the music continues. We just happen to live in the quiet part of the skull. But quiet is not absence, it's anticipation. The universe you see is not just a thing that exists, it's a thing that happens, a performance in perpetual motion, creation and destruction, expansion and collapse. These are not opposites, they are rhythm, they are time, they are music. When a star dies, it doesn't fall silent. It becomes harmony's echo, its atoms scattered, its energy absorbed into new forms of song. Those atoms drift, join others, form planets, form oceans, form you. And so the music continues, reincarnated in every heartbeat, in every breath, in every dream of something greater. We often think of space as empty, but maybe it's full, full of melody, too deep for human ears, too vast for human time. Maybe that's why we feel awe when we look at the night sky. Some part of us remembers the sound. Some part of us recognizes the rhythm. Maybe the feeling we call wonder is just resonance between soul and the stars. Imagine for a moment the farthest edges of the cosmos. Galaxies spiral like cosmic records. Their arms spin at just the right tempo, to keep from flying apart. Dark matter holds them together, an invisible baseline, steady and low, keeping time beneath the melody of light. Everywhere, motion is rhythm, and rhythm is life. Even the expansion of universe is in chaos. Its tempo, a steady, accelerating beat that carries everything forward. The song is still being written, and we are living in one of its verses. Think about what that means. Every moment you have ever loved, every tear, every laugh, every second of silence is part of a music so vast that no single being will ever hear it at all. But that doesn't make your part small. It makes it essential. Because without your note, the song would be incomplete. You were born from the remnants of stars, from the frequencies of light and gravity, from atoms that once hummed in ancient suns. And one day, when your time here is done, those same atoms will go on humming somewhere else, perhaps in the wings of another creature, or in the core of a newborn world. Energy doesn't vanish, it changes instruments. You are eternal, not as a person, but as a vibration woven into the universe's music. So tonight, as you drift toward sleep, listen, not with your ears, with your breath, with your heartbeat. Feel the quiet rhythm beneath your ribs, the steady pulse of a world spinning through space, the faint echo of Jupiter's storm, the soft hum of sunlight filtering through the void. That's the music of the planets, the lullaby of existence itself. You're not outside of it. You are part of the orchestra. You always were. And if one night you find yourself looking up at the sky, feeling very small, remember this. Even the smallest note can change a song. Even the faintest heartbeat can carry a rhythm across the stars. You are not separate from the universe. You are one of its songs. Brief, beautiful, and infinite. Thank you for drifting with me tonight here on Dreams of Science. If this story made you feel something, wonder, peace, or just a gentle reminder that you belong to the same rhythm as the stars, then take a moment to breathe it in. The next time you listen to music, remember that it began long before humans ever existed. It began when the first atom vibrated, when the first star was born, when the first planet began to turn. You are still hearing the same song every single day, and perhaps that's what it means to be alive. Until next time, dreamers, sleep softly beneath the same stars that made you. And never forget to listen for the quiet music of the planets.